Hello there, Seraphim17 once again. This is my Infinite Warfare Specialist Difficulty video walkthrough. This is Operation Burnwater, which is an interesting name, and I like this level a lot. Visually it looks great. I do like the gloss on the rocks from the moisture, and as much as it is piss yellow, which I class as a type of brown from the joke I made earlier, it still is a striking mission. It suffers from diminished returns because we saw a lot of it on the promotional material. But I think one of the big mistakes this game made was sticking so close to the inception of space travel, because it meant that they were limited by our solar system. And it means, of course, you can only have certain amounts of planets, and the majority of the planets aren't that interesting, you know? Like, I think Callisto would have been really interesting, but that was the beginning of the game, and it just served as a narrative purpose. It didn't really serve any other purpose, which is very disappointing. But I was just a little disappointed that there wasn't, you know, purple and pink lasers and pink explosions and stuff. I wanted shit to be mad and crazy and all up in the sky and all kinds of stuff, and it was just a little bit more grounded than I thought it was going to be. And I know a lot of people will really like that, but I was hoping for batshit crazy stuff, you know, Marcus Fenix up the arse. But this level is cool because it involves stealth, and stealth is something that COD has started dabbling with recently. It's always had those missions that you could call stealth, which were generally just follow NPC, listen to what NPC says, and do not get spotted because you will fail if you do. But then in Advanced Warfare, they introduced that notification counter on the screen that you saw just then, and that tells you how close to being seen you are. It's not the perfect marriage of stealth and heads-up displays to help you stealth, but it's competent enough to get you through. And your teammates overcompensate for everything, so even if you don't do very well in this section and you don't understand what it's asking of you, your team will really come through for most. And then at the end of this, there is a mandatory fight where you have to clean some people up, and then we'll be moving on to the next sequence. But for the most, you can get through this without anybody really knowing you're here. And the flexibility of it is so accessible that I think anybody can have fun here. And that's one of the more dynamic aspects of this franchise. If you want to go guns blazing and have a big war, you can. If you don't, you can stab people in the throat and do it that way. And it's not much choice as I mess this up. Yeah, look at that. Terrible. No alarm though, so we recovered. And then I pick up the Type 2 with a suppressor on it, which is a really nice gun. I like this gun a lot. It is an energy gun, so do bear that in mind. It's not the best against humans, but it still strips them very quickly, because Call of Duty, the time to kill is quite fast. But it's one of those things. I think that campaigns miss certain elements that would easily give them more replay value, and it wouldn't be that difficult to add. Like, why is there no feedback when you kill things? As that dude shoots the gun out of my hand. And I think that's quite a funny moment, that, because I'm supposed to kill one person, and then my team kills the others. Did you see how fast that AI went and killed me? Just immediately shoots at me before they've had a chance to do shit and knocks the gun out of my hand. I'm trying to swap the reticle here and it keeps swapping my gun because my gun turns into a dual-wielding gun for some reason. Which is interesting, it's one of the cooler weapons, but I never use it. There's a bad guy. Go on, Ethan, get him. But Halo is not the first to do it. It was the one that did it really well, in my opinion. It had a scoring system on its campaign, and it had medals that pop up, the same medals you got in the multiplayer, so it made each kill feel great and gave it a good feedback system. COD has one of the best feedback systems of any franchise that exists. When you kill people, it makes that great noise, you get those things that pop up, you get the kill feed popping up, it feels good. It might not feel good anymore, because I haven't really played the last few online to see what they were, but it consistently had shit popping up that made you feel good and reinforced that you just killed somebody, you just did something awesome. And that's what made it so addictive. Now imagine if that happened every time you kill people in the campaign. Imagine if you got a score at the end of it, which you could legitimately try and score run to get super good scores and have fun doing that. Modifiers to make the campaign different, more interesting, alternative in certain ways, like the skulls in Halo, like the cheats in older games. Perfect Dark had them, there was various ones. Massive heads, you know, all kinds of weird stuff. GoldenEye with all the weapons, different guns, infinite ammo, invincibility, you know. Cheats can be interesting if they change up the experience. But there's even kill streaks in Call of Duty's multiplayer, which are really, really fun. Why not have them in the campaign? You give us these powerful things, and then you give them a mundane respawn. Why not have it where when you start killing people, you're on a streak? You build towards a kill streak. You get 3 kills, you get a UAV. It gives you a pulse to help you see where some of the enemies are. You get 2 more kills, you get your airstrike. Or you're guiding your Predator missile. How fun was guiding Predator missiles in Modern Warfare 2? Just imagine doing it in the campaign frequently enough where you can get really good at it. And what's it going to do if you have this capacity to mess with your class, change up your kill streaks and things, and do those fun additions that the multiplayer has in the campaign? It teaches you how to use them. It's a tutorial in a context where you're not getting absolutely destroyed by people who've played these games for 10 years straight. You get to get the kill streaks and feel the bump of the kills coming up on the screen. And there might be people who never play the multiplayer but love the single player and get to have that feedback. So many games do wonderful feedback in multiplayer, and then you go to single player and it feels flat. And specialist difficulty is a criminal for this as well. Takes away hit markers, takes away that wonderful feeling of shooting people. That didn't used to be a standard mechanic, but now it is in almost every first-person shooter because it gives you that reception. It makes you understand what is happening. There's a unique sound that your brain's picking up on that's telling you you're hitting something. It makes a unique sound that tells you you're killing something. So many little pieces of subtle design that's coming through your senses, that's educating your brain on the situation, and you don't have to think about it because it's second nature now. And it's wonderful design, yet it's lacking in a lot of the single players. And you know the argument will be, oh, but we want people to be immersed in our fantastic storytelling and narrative and wonderful characters. And it's like, no! Have you seen this shit? It's boring. 5 white dudes and a novelty robot doing shit. Oh, what? There's 1 black dude as well. Well, that's great, and you know he's gonna die. Like, come on now, this is just... It's as stereotypical and tropey as it gets. Nobody cares. And the people that do care, you know, that's awesome. But... it could be an option to turn it on and off. You don't have to have it if you want your immersion. But they give you 0 reason to replay these campaigns. And you could argue that they don't put a lot of money into the campaigns because the multiplayer is the focus. But that's a lie. Look at the campaign, guys. Look at the credits for the people who worked on the campaign. The campaign takes away a substantial budget from everything else. And it's that budget that could be put into other areas of the game to make it better. So you know the next time you're not pleased with a multiplayer game, one of the reasons why that multiplayer is the way it is because a handful of the people that they could have used on it were off doing campaign. So that's why it's so important for the product to be fully realised and to be what it is, because a lot of money goes into this, and you can tell the production value is very high here. But it still has to be said, they spend all this time designing this adventure for you, and you play it once. And then they design these difficulties, but they give you no incentive to play them. And then they don't add anything to it. And you might be thinking, Chris, you say this for every Call of Duty. They never change it, they're never going to. Which is sad, isn't it? I think that's sad, but it is true. And do you know why I say this? Because you know COD 4, one of the first ones? It had arcade mode. Every time you shot people, points popped out of them, and it looked amazing. When you stabbed them, tons of points fell out of them. It was this really crazy, super fast, aggressive game mode. Albeit, it wasn't designed the best it could be, in my opinion, because it was just crazy. It was way too manic, and I don't think it was really able to be played a bunch of different ways. I think you had to play a very particular style, because it was all about streaking, and streaking in Call of Duty means always moving, always killing on the move, and that can be very difficult to do. And it's not for everybody, so it's not the best score system, but at least it was there. And then there was all those ridiculous perks you could get, wasn't there, where you if you collected the intel, it changed part of the games. And I might be forgetting this or misremembering this, but wasn't the one where you turned it on, when you killed people, they exploded into tyres? Isn't that the dumbest thing you've ever heard? Like, you killed people. I think there was one where when you threw a grenade, it turned into like 20 grenades. It was a cluster grenade. And this is COD 4, where the grenades have got the explosive radius of an atomic bomb. And they were silly and stupid stuff. That made me want to replay it, and I did. There were so many reasons to go back. And you know when you go back to COD 4's campaign? It's probably boring now. It's probably quite reserved and mundane because we're so used to a million things happening at once and globe-trotting and being on Mars and being on Earth and being in the sky and being in underwater. But it was still had options and it was still great for its time. Why don't they do that? You know, they put all emphasis on zombies. There's a large community of people who don't like zombies. So they put all this emphasis on a mode that quite a large percentage of people will never touch. And then there is the people who love zombies, who play the game just for zombies. Why not release a game for those people? So that all the people that you're diverting in the zombie team can just focus on having a larger production time, a larger cycle for the game, and make a super awesome zombie game that doesn't have half the team doing campaign and the other half of the team doing multiplayer. Like, they spread themselves so thin, so none of the elements ever truly elevates to something wonderful. There's a reason why people don't think that the multiplayer has been great since Ghosts, or, you know, insert the COD that you like, which would be hilarious if it was Ghosts. I said that just because I thought it'd be stupid. But, you know, Black Ops is one people love. Modern Warfare 2 is one people love. You know, Black Ops 2, Black Ops 3, whichever one you think that was truly great, there's probably a bunch of ones you think is not so great, and they might have been better if they weren't so divided. And it's such a strange thing. And Titanfall and what was the other one? Star Wars Battlefront? Evolve did it as well, didn't it? And poor Evolve, it's been stopped, I don't know if you heard. By the way, guys, this level, you get to call down airstrikes on people. It's incredibly powerful. I'm going to tear up the beginning of this level. There's nothing too tricky here at all to speak of. Just use your ballistic shield if you get in the shit and keep using your missiles because it refreshes really fast. And then lay on this catwalk and shoot people through the gap because the AI doesn't seem to know you can shoot through this gap, so fuck them. But all of those games I just mentioned, each of them did away with campaign and focused on multiplayer. And I don't understand why they failed. I really don't. Because you know what's hilarious? They didn't focus on the single player. They had all the resources going towards the multiplayer, and then they provided multiplayers that didn't have enough content. So the only thing that I can really think about, if I were to analyse it quickly, is that the way those games were designed were for microtransactions and for season passes and for DLC. So they sold you an empty game so that you could pay to fill it. And that's why they failed. But I don't know for certain because I didn't play any of those games. But in my mind, they did the thing that I was afraid was going to happen. They got rid of splitting the team, focused on the one thing that they knew would sell, and they somehow still didn't make it great. Even though I'm sure there's people that love each of those games, and they have their own merits and things. But I just mean critically, commercially, you know, the numbers and everything. I don't know, like, how did they fail? It seems like they had that golden ratio. But then it begs the question, doesn't it? Do you need a campaign in your game? Do you need, you know, the ups and the downs and the restrictions and the smaller teams and the crazy deadlines and the crushing and the cramming to get something truly great? Do you need the struggle and the suffering to make those people put in all their effort? Because I did a memory test the other day. I know this is going off on some tangents. If you want me to talk about Call of Duty, guys, all you have to do on this section is aim down your gun and shoot people. Good luck. Now, I did this memory test, and I did it with my girlfriend, and she watched it. And what I was doing is, it would give you a letter from the alphabet, and it would give you a colour and a shape. And there was like 4 or 5 drop-down menus, which correlated to each coloured shape. And you had to click on what it wanted by going through the list and clicking on it. And when you clicked on one, it added what you'd clicked to a shortcut bar that was on the opposite side. So when it popped up again, and it asked for it, instead of going through the drop-down menu, you went over to the shortcut and you pressed that one. And it was testing how fast you could do it. So I was trying to go quite quick, because I'm not too slow on a mouse when I want to be. And I wanted to try and get a good score, because I'm getting older and I want to feel like I'm a young man still. So I was doing it, and then on the next round, it said, now memorize this sequence of random letters and numbers, and it was like 7854 WZ or something, and I just went brain fart up the ass. There was no way I was remembering it, guys. My brain just, no. So I focused on doing the task again, and at the end it asked for the number, and I got like 2 or 3 of what it wanted in the wrong order, but I didn't stand a chance. And then it kept giving me ones to do. You know, smaller numbers, ones with more letters, one that wasn't too big. And I was repeating what the sequence was to myself while I was doing the task of clicking on the drop boxes and picking the shortcuts. And do you know what the results showed? Not only was I about 4 seconds faster than the average time, which was quite nice, you know, I'm not a super old man yet, but it showed that when I had something to memorize, I was faster than I was when I didn't have anything to memorize. Because when I wasn't being challenged, I was complacent and I was more relaxed, apparently. I didn't feel like it at the time, but when they forced me to work harder, I worked more efficiently. And that's what maybe having a campaign and splintering your workforce does. Because, of course, through trials and struggle, breeds necessity, breeds invention. And it's an interesting discussion. But this is a boss fight against a robot, and it's kind of shitty. So, I didn't realise that the rocket cache respawns. It just takes forever to do it. So, you do not have to move from the balcony that I'm on right now. You don't have to do it. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to get lit up because of it. You should not do it. Sit on the other side of where I am, the complete opposite side to my right, and the rocket will keep respawning. It takes about 30 to 40 seconds, but you don't even have to move, and all you do is destroy this dude's guns and you win. There's a couple guys on the ground that might give you trouble, so you can shoot them with your gun, but do you see over there where the reload is? Just sit where that marine is to my right, and you'll be fine here. But I'm going to do this, which is reckless, because I thought I had to move around to pick up ammunition, and apparently my left arm is broken, so I can't use my shield. And I'm a little bit stubborn, so you're not going to see me use the nano shot until I absolutely have to. As I come down here to pick up this ammo, reload, and then I'm going to go back up onto the... Oh, there we go, helmet's broken. Jesus, this is a rough sequence. There's a... Oh, look at me, I'm suffocating because we're on Saturn. So there's the new helmet. That was cool, I thought that was a fascinating mechanic. But here's me trying to poke around and pick off the shoulder turrets of the machine, but he's not there. And then when we get up here, you're going to see a rocket launcher to the right that I already picked up, because it's respawned. And all you need to do is stick by that piece of cover next to Omar and keep on getting that respawn. You don't have to do any of the dangers running on the walls like I did. You don't have to do none of it. But I didn't realise, guys, so learn from my mistakes. Additionally, this robot can shoot you through this gap, so don't feel like you're comfortable here, because it turns out he's pretty good at jacking me. His AI is super bullshit though. For a robot that's designed to kind of be flanked, he only pays attention to you. He pretends to pay attention to other people, and then he spins around and assaults you instead. He's a bit of a dick. But he only takes 4 rockets if you hit them with a lock-on. If you don't get the correct lock-on, the rocket will do diminished damage, because it won't be a sweet spot. There is the reload. And that's when I realised that I dropped a boo-boo, because all I have to do is stay up here, and it's really safe up here. Other than that, which I took a hit then, but it didn't cripple me. That one did. That one dropped me to my legs. Don't know why I healed then. That was unnecessary. I think it must have been a nervous moment. Someone's shooting me here, and I don't know who it is. It's not the robot. It's a shitter. There he is. A scrub on the floor. So he's going to get hit with the gun. I'm going to show him the hands, put him down, and then we can get back to Mr. Robot. This is a cool level though, this one. I like it a lot. Somebody hit me from the left, so there's another scrub on the floor somewhere. And this guy must be dead soon. There's a grenade. Shield up. That one hurt my arm. So you are kind of safe in the shield, but you're not completely safe, because you still take a bit of damage, which is unfortunate, but it's better than dying. If you can throw those grenades back, awesome. Every time I try and throw grenades back on this game, they roll away from me and I end up wasting my own grenade. One time, I threw a shock grenade at my feet and killed myself, so I do not throw grenades back that frequently in this game. I learnt my lesson very quickly and it pissed me off. So just then, I took out one of its guns, and if you don't know, there's this weird Titanfall climbing a robot sequence where you can turn its gun onto itself, but when it happens, you can take damage. So if there's anybody on the ground shooting at you, they might be able to kill you, and indeed the robot itself can kill you. So I'm not going to do any of the rodeoing, because I can just get the respawn and kill it comfortably. There's an achievement and a trophy for rodeoing it all 3 ways, I think. left gun, right gun, and self-destruct. I'm not too sure what self-destruct means, but it probably isn't too difficult to figure out. And now he's dead, it seems like all the enemies that were in this area just kind of leave. They evaporate. And then the only thing left to do now, guys, is run towards a scripted sequence where you start taking damage for no reason. You're getting shelled, and your screen just starts getting lit up. And I put my shield on, and it still doesn't block it, so it's programmed to damage, I think. But I'm not 100% certain. I've only played this campaign twice. And I checked my Xbox. Apparently, I've only spent, I think it said 9 hours playing this game. So 2 full campaign run-throughs. The first one was on Veteran, doing all side quests, and then there was just this, which is all main missions, and 1 side mission. Equates to about 9 hours worth of gameplay. That's kind of crazy when you think about it. But this is the part where the game starts damaging you for no reason. So I was clipping on some bullshit then, and then you move forward, and it's all slow motion. Oh no. Epic Call of Duty moment. Whatever will happen next, I am on the edge of my seat. There's a big spaceship. Shock horror. There's a nice, convenient cinematic strafing of bullets that hits everywhere but where we are. That was me one of those machine guns that the enemy has in the Arnie film, where they shoot everything but Arnie. Wonderful men. They never reload and they shoot everywhere else. So, start moving forward. I take a hit on my leg. I take a hit on my full body and on my head. And I'm like, what the fuck's going on? Who's hurting me? But it's scripted, so every part of you is just getting lit up for no reason. So I sprint up here towards the doorway, and once you trigger the doorway, it's going to lead you into some more exposition, and there should be some nano boosts, and there should be some helmets, because look at what it did to your screen. Very, very inconsiderate of them. Oh, speaking of, we're flying again. And we're back in Minecraft, so you'll notice how quick this machine gun rips apart those skelters. So I don't like flying through that arch, I like flying around this rock, because it enables me to not get strafed by 2 or 3 of the enemy ships. And what you want to do at the beginning here is focus on taking down these dudes. The final upgrade for the machine guns is beautiful. If you're good at hitting people with machine guns, you're going to absolutely murder these standard enemies. That right there was just what happens in this game. Sometimes you take big damage. And of course, going to your thruster immediately, try and be evasive and then respawn, or regenerate, sorry. And now we have to take down this ship. So, the cannons that I'm using are the most powerful cannons in the game. And I think to kill this ship, you have to shoot off its individual turrets. But it will also die if you put a certain amount of damage on it. I couldn't confirm, because every time I thought you had to shoot the turrets, it just died from shooting it. And then every time I thought you could just put damage on it, I felt like I had to shoot the turrets. So I'm not 100% up on exactly how you kill these the fastest, but just spam missiles, spam powerful shots, and it will die eventually. You're not really in too much danger. There's a couple of the skelters on my map, or on my periphery, and there's the kill on the big ship. So, do we have to finish off the little dudes? There's our buddy being chased. There's 2 notifications of enemies around me, and we're fighting again. So I'm in critical damage, which is not so good. Chase this guy down. Try and do some spinning. The stream chat when I was playing this said that when I was doing the flying missions, it was rather disorienting, which I can completely understand. It doesn't bother me too much. I just think that there could have been a better system for telling you where things were, and I keep going back to the idea of a radar. I think a radar works wonders on a section like this. But now it wants us to land on the turbine, so me and Ethan are going to be doing some guerrilla warfare. So get out of your shuttle and then get your guns ready, because there's a couple dudes to shoot here. I think the reason why this part of the level kind of falls flat on me personally is because it really reminds me of the oil rig level in, was it Egypt in Black Ops 3? Where you kept going into your ship, shooting a bunch of stuff, and then landing and going and turning off those machines. And that bit was really tricky on realistic because you died in a bullet. This is a tricky corridor as well. Lots of people down the bottom of it, so I recommend that you clip this spooled cable over here, and then you just hit them prematurely. Because if you can get them before they set up, you can kill them as they're getting into position. And it's the best way to kill people, because the AI has this wonderful setting where they will not return fire until they get to where they want to move to. So if you ever see an enemy moving, you just can get a free kill, because the first kill will stop him and it'll make him stumble, and the second few hits will kill him. But keep on peppering, doing what you can do. There's a guy hiding off to the right. There's another grenade. I'm throwing a few grenades back here, even though I've told you that I don't often do it. It must have been just through habit, that. And of course the ballistic shield. This shield is going to save you so many mistakes, so use it. It's a wonderful piece of kit. I can't imagine playing this game without it, because it's really effective. It's just a cool tool. I like the idea of being able to be aggressive with a shield. You know, I would take it a step further personally. I would have it where you can like shoot over your arm, and it's the equivalent of shooting from cover, so you're really protected. But I would make it a bit more fragile, I think. I would have it recharge really fast, but it wouldn't be able to take too much damage. Like, I think I would have it maybe a set amount of damage rather than, or a set amount of hits, not a set amount of damage, so that it can take, doesn't matter if you're being hit by a jet or just a dude with a pistol, you will always take a certain amount of hits before you have to, you know, use real cover. Guy comes from the side then, did you see that? I don't know what that was. I felt like I got hit from behind, but it might have been the guy who was in front of me. So I'm trying to target find right now, and I cannot see him. Somebody to my right, I just heard him then. Guy moving behind the consoles, we should be able to clip him. The enemies do this wonderful thing in this game, where they go into cover, but they leave their head poking out. It's otherwise known as Kane and Lynch 1 cover. And I don't know why they do it. There goes the gun, grab it, back in the fight. I love that mechanic. So cool. There's the hip fire, there's me getting my leg crippled. I really do think Specialist is a wonderful difficulty. I just wish it was a bit harder, and I wish there was an achievement for doing it. And you might say, what's the infatuation with achievements? Why don't people play games for fun anymore? And it's not for me wanting the achievement to exist, it's because then people will actually do it. Unfortunately, kind sir, there are people in this world who will not do things on a game unless there is a trophy or an achievement for doing it. That's their sole reason for trying anything in games. And I used to be a person like that, even though I originated as being a person who did things because they were there and because they could be done. But achievements gave me a way of saying, well, now you can see what I've done, which is a cool idea. But the more I move away from achievements, because I don't really care too much about them anymore, the more I realise is there are far too many people who need an incentive to move outside of their comfort zone. And if you don't believe me, just go on Xbox 360 achievements or PlayStation trophies and check the forums. There are people who go on those forums and literally ask a million questions about the game before they've even played it. And are the questions, is it fun? Is it any good? No. They're like, can you cheat the hardest difficulty? Is there an easy way of doing X? Is there an easy way of doing Y? Can you get all the achievements in under 4 hours? Like, it's literally shit like that. People want to do the least amount of work and get the maximum amount of profit. And if you want to do that, that's awesome. You know, if you're that kind of guy. I knew a fella who had 28,000 achievements score. All of them were 1,000 Gs, and half of them he'd paid people to do for him. Which to me is bizarre. But dude, if you're listening and you've got some money you want to burn, I will gladly do that shit for you. People are weird, guys. Everybody has their own thing that they like, and it's just one of those things. You know, if you're one of those people, awesome. Other people don't understand it though, and that's the big sadness about Specialist difficulty, is no bugger's gonna play it. So thank you for watching, and you take care now.